Baruch Hashem, Tes Vov Cheshvan Erla Tesayin. We're going to learn Amud Kufnun Gimel and Kufnun Daled. We're right in the middle of the discussion over here that the way you Hamshach, that you come down through Torah mitzvahs or through do something, and the shuv they have in the neshama happens in two efanim, either through Kabbalah soil or through shiflus, right? The mishum zel mchinas shuv. Start over here. Oy mitzad Kabbalah soil malach shmaim shabai. Either because you have Kabbalah soil, the close in the Kabbalah soil malach shmaim, gamkin mitzad bitl atzvi shaban neshama. The general Kabbalah soil is from the bitl of the neshama, the l'chenim neshama still daf kabbalah poil gamkin al tefillah. This also comes through davening, and again, this is not like we said earlier, dafka through the Shimur, what remains from Avavir, rather because you are now in a state where your soul cannot have relaxation without doing what Hashem wants, either Kabbalah soil or through shiflos. Ella, Kabbalah soil, it's in a different way. The shiflos, Hanal, that we said earlier, since you feel yourself as a nothing, you do not have any comfort, when you do what the Eibishter wants. Kabbalah soil, it's not because you feel like an ayin, not because you're the ayin, rather, you're totally given over to the Eibishter, and there's no Mitzias at all. So it's a little bit of an edla difference, but one of them, the focus is on you being nothing, the other one is your focus on doing what the Eibishter wants. Now we're at the beginning of Amud Kufman Gimel. Your soul will not be comforted. It's not going to be good enough with connecting to the Eibishter. This is the Ratzi level of it. This is you spreading yourself out, your own will. Through this, your soul will be comforted. Doing Torah and mitzvahs, drawing it down. This is the real will of the Eibishter. When you're speaking about Divrei Torah, it's not that you're just making it into a keli to the words of Hashem, that you're now making it a kli in the words of Torah that you're saying. This is mitzad. This comes rather because of the general bittul that you're doing. So it's not that you're making yourself, your words into keli for the Hashem. Rather, you're totally bottled to the Hashem, and that's where the Hashem goes through you. The staff happens through your own koyach. Someone can force himself to do Torah mitzvahs, even if you do not want to. Because this avodah b'shuv exists in the neshama on its own. How does it exist in the neshama on its own? Because it wants to give itself over. This power to give yourself over. Every single person has it. You could force yourself to do the actions. Even when you're doing avodah and you're doing this eirus, if you work on yourself very hard, that you get to this level of this eirus, believe eirus m'mayla, not fully dependent on this eirus m'mayla. And even when your heart and mind are fresh up, and it's still nevertheless you work on yourself hard. Bekama eats us with different ideas. To be very, very strong and work very, very hard. To contemplate through the depths of your mind that this idea, this godly concept should be felt in your soul. And it should be excited. Whenever you do it on your own, it's very, very powerful, very, very precious. So obviously Kiyum Torah mitzvahs, but even when you have Avavigira, when you're doing it mitzvah yourself, not dependent on this Eretz Momayla, rather through yourself, forcing yourself to do it, that's very, very, very precious. You can accomplish a lot more in your soul, to make the bittul more inner, and it will exist and remain in your soul for longer. Kasher nisbar leil di ramas v'yigash hedlov. The av of a year Shabbat the Yigiyah dafka ikar avodah she b'chinas kiyam. Like we said over there, that av of a year that comes through Yigiyah, that is the real avodah. That is what taka remains. That is what taka has. The idea of existence. That is what lasts. Even that av we spoke about there, it's more b'chinas kiyam. Kasher miyagetz atzmei gam liftayach liboy. Which that is the theme that we're discussing over here. Chachma going not just in moyach, going into leif. Avoida, not in Ratzoi, which is a Sairus, rather Lev, staying down here, B'chinas Shuv. Whenever it's done on your own koyach, it's more inner, and accomplishes and does a lot more in your soul. It has a more lasting effect, and it's, like we said earlier, it's a kavanah el yoina of creating of the world, the Dir Lo Yisbarach B'tachtoim. V'chein ma shekol Ratzoi. This is also the idea where every single time there's Ratzoi, Yesh Achrav Shuv. It continues on later with a level of Shuv coming back down. V'ainu. Gam b'vchinas Ratzoi ha-Yosher al-Yoni. Even when you have the highest level of Ratzoi, b'vchinas Toikef ha-Ratzoi, with as strong as can be, you want to be consumed and be totally given into the early key. Then you come back in the level of Shuv, which was the highest level of Ratzoi, going in with peace to the paradise, v'yatzah b'shalom, the idea of Shuv. In that moment we explained, the Ratzoi is l'chatchila, in a way, she'yachrav Shuv, and zeh gam kein, the theme over here, b'koyach ha'odam mitzad atzmo, your own yigiyah, which then you accomplish what the Eibishter wants, and it's more kiyah. This that the Ratzoi is calculated and measured, in order not to fully go out and fully be consumed, and allow there to be a Shuv afterwards. That's because you have a general bittul, you put yourself on the side, so now it's no more your Ratzoi, it's rather a Ratzoi in order to do the Ratzoi Elyon, the Kabbalas oil, which the ultimate Kabbalas oil, the ultimate Ratzoi Elyon is to have Shuv. And that's, and when your Ratzoi is starts out that way, you're guaranteed that it should be an oifen of Shuv and oifen of Kiyum. The be'emes, in truth, golden words. It's easier to be klois hanefesh, to give yourself fully over to the Eibishter, miliyah islamata became a term than doing termits is the way you have to do it. The yoyser b'nakal liyas b'chinas Ratzoi b'chinas Shuv. Ratzoi is easier than Shuv. Even though, like we said earlier, Shuv you can force yourself to do. Ratzoi you have to be in the mood of it, so to say, or you have to be shaykh to it. But when you reveal your koich hanefesh, when you get through this level of his errors, or through the av of a year of davening, at that moment, in Ratzoi b'nakal yoyser harbi min Shuv, it's a lot easier to achieve Ratzoi. Besides the fact it's easier to be removed from clothes, naked, or more mufshet, taking the or and letting it spread back, miliyas ba'albasha, then clothing it in and bringing it in and limiting it into yourself in a yigiyah. The sheyiyah in the boy heaven, it should be all be done well. So besides the fact that that's easier, that it's easier to be b'chinas hafshata than albasha. Like it says about promises, when you make a promise to stay away from something, you say you want to stay away from something, you want to be separated from it. Promises, it's a way to be holy or separated. When you could not cleanse it, so you have to stay away from it. It says, we bring down in Gemara, Amaretz asur lechol basar. Amaretz cannot eat meat. Why not? Amaretz does not have the power to take the gvuris of the warmth that is in the meat and be mevaret. You have no heter to eat meat if you can't be mevaret. Stay away from it. The general idea of promises is to do prisha. Then a chacham goes and is matter the neder. You're matter the neder means you now can involve yourself with these things to a much higher level. You reach a higher level. Habitul de Chachma, you have the level of nullification of Chachma, and it's every tzarich livish is aspect. You don't have to stay away from it. Lefishu gavoya ben badega, you're on a much higher level. Sheish b'chinas bitul Chachma. Sorry, in tzarich livish is aspect. Lefishu b'chotel levaris adavar. Now you can cleanse it. V'zayin and heter nedarim. So nedarim is tzad l'brishus. So it's a lot easier to stay away, to be consumed, to be in a level of brishus. Ukmoikin chalus avoida, the general idea of avoida, general avoida, it's a lot easier to totally separate yourself from worldly matters, and to only be consumed with vekas belakus, and only concern yourself with getting closer to the Eibishter without dealing with the world. It's much easier. And it's easier to be down and still and still be connected to the Eibishter, and everything you do, and all your physical things. This is the idea of connecting Yichudei Ilah, the Eibishter, the connection of above, Yichudei Tata, the connection above. The B'chinas Yichudei Ilah mitzad atzmai, connection of above. Hagam shezeu gam ken bitol v'yichud advar matachtonim shem b'chinas achtas mamash ba'eretz baruch hu. Even it's the idea of singling out or being mevatel all the things and showing that it's all one with the Eibishter. Kaidu bin in Hashem echad. When we say God is one, we say shazayin ruchas, the seven sides, the four sides. And the Aretz, and which is the and the land with Al Druchs Olam. Maybe this is the Zayin Rekim supposed to be. Shazayin Ruches, yeah. The copy that I have printed here says Zayin Rekim. Okay, it's a mistake. Shazayin Rekim v'Aretz, the seven heavens and the earth. With Al Druchs Olam, Del Mechadim B'Tachlis, Achzel V'Shakule Kamei Kalei Chashav Shabdel B'Metzius Mamash. That they really bottle to the Eibishter. And then there's more in the story going to explain to other people. Relation to the Eibishter, nothing covers over in the Eibishter. But we do have a Gilar in the world. This proves that the world is not here because it doesn't cover over on him. It's as if it was there before it was created. So this idea of Yichudei Ilah is showing that the Eibishter, nothing affects it, and the world's not a Metzius. Signifying the world and signifying a Lakos, even the way the world is a Metzius, still so we say that the world is a something, but it's still B'chinas Bittul. It's a much higher level than saying the world is just simply a nothing. Even when you're dealing with gashmis, like a thing, you're eating and drinking, you are fully bottled, without any physical feeling. It's a mitzvah to pleasure Shabbos with eating and drinking. The Shabbos it's not a physical pleasure, spiritual pleasure. Ukhdisa be Sifre Kabbalah. Ukhdisa be Sifre Kabbalah. Being in Seudah the Motzei Shabbos, that we do Lav Malka on Motzei Shabbos. Shuchilias Aroisha Ma'ini Dachil the Shabbos. You want to keep a mark from the spiritual pleasure of Shabbos Al Kol Shavua, to keep it for the whole week. This also we say V'inoyam sheishar aroishim matanik the tefillah of the Shabbos. This is that the davening, the pleasure of davening of Shabbos should stay al kol shavua. V'adesodam lav malka nishar aroishim ma'inin dachil of the Shabbos. We take the pleasure of the food of Shabbos and we continue it on the whole week. V'nishtvi we see that Shabbos is an inin ruchni, and this is the idea of making the world a metzias achilu ushti, which is for sure davar gashmi, and still showing it's an inin ruchni and it's l'mayla from the world. Again, but tzaddikim hagdolim, big tzaddikim b'kol hashavua the whole week. Shachil Hashem, they're eating b'chinas tzaddik oichel l'sei b'nafshay. A tzaddik eats to satisfy his soul. Sheb'chinas hatayna geliki. V'hu b'tzeh b'chinas bittul v'yichud mamash b'lekus. You totally nullify and become one with the Eibishter. K'moy b'chinas bittul v'veikash mamash ba'ava v'yirah tefillah. Just like a full connection in ava near like after davening. And this that you are involving yourself and involved with the world. Vahem gufo b'chinas elikos mamash. And do this itself, you're still elikos. V'zeh madrega gavoy l'nalamoid, this is a very high madrega, higher than just having yichud ilah on its own. That's not the singling of the one God that comes from above. There we show here on the other hand of Kana, we're signifying the food, the way they are Gashmias. But by nullifying it and making it one with Elikus, the way it's down here, all your physical things, hey Elikus, that becomes Elikus. So it's a much higher level of just showing how everything's really Elikus. It's much bigger than just showing how everything is just Elikus. So we're saying over here that it's a lot easier to have Klois HaNefesh than Kiyum Torah Mitzvahs. Besides for the fact, like we said over here, that it's easier to nullify these inyanim gashmiim, right? To say how it's just a lakos, or even doing this the dvarim gashmiim, making them a lakos. It's simply more in your nature. The way the soul reveals itself. Moving in because that's the nefesh itself. We said it's shuf. It has an idea of shuf, but the way it's misgala, to be in the world without being megala the etzem, this chitzenis is a shaykh to the etzem. It's the nature is to be klis nefesh. What does this mean? This level of chitzenis, hainu b'chinas ha'orva gilu shaloi, the level of light, the level of revelation of the neshama. That is a lot easier. That is more in line, more in touch with the level of Klois HaNefesh. V'yeshloimer. The Kemoish and Zbor Le'il V'yimatzal K'yedait, if we had a whole discussion between Ratzon and Tainik. The Shneim Chinas Etzem. El Sharatzon and Chitzonius of Yizgal, the Ratzon is what gets revealed by Tainik Primus Uvalem. But they both really are the same source, the same Etzem. It's just how they reveal themselves. K'moi Kein, U'B'chinas Ratzon V'shuv. Shneim b'etzem ha'nefesh. Al sharatzah b'chinas chitzonius. V'atainug is b'chinas ha'pnimius. So back to what we're saying. So klois ha'nefesh is easier because it's in the teva ha'nefesh. We said here in the parentheses the teva of the nefesh, the chitzonius, the ratzah type of the teva ha'nefesh. But it's in the teva ha'nefesh la'alus l'maylo, to go up. Because it's really the ratzah ne'chanik mitzvah nicha. Sheteva needs is the nature of the spark, alikila al samayla. She has a koisef, uchuka g'dola b'nefesh. It has a desire, a great desire, and a yearning in the soul. The gamshem is nirgish by Yisrael because it also feels more godliness, and the neshama's nature is to reveal more godliness. And the gamshem derech ha'lo, even though it's revealed in a way of drawing up, the soul is still very, very shiny, shines very, very much, very, very shiny. And Al Kapanim, that's why it's more nitzteva to do it this way, to go away this way. Even though through Shuv, it's even higher. The Shuv, we're only going to get it lost. This revelation is not so revealed. So besides the fact that it's easier, like we said in the previous paragraph, simply because it's a lot easier to do a yichud without involving the gashmias, without working with gashmias. It's a lot easier to do nedarim shag l'prishos, just staying away from it. Once you involve yourself in beer, it gets harder. Furthermore, it's in teva nefesh l'al because there you could get an early key, which you could see now a mochesh. Koshkin v'aver tanugim. It's much easier. The extra strength of Ratzah, but specifically when we want to rip ourselves away from Ratzah and to come down here Lamata, it's very heavy, it's very hard. Only because someone puts his entire etzem on the side. And you don't concern yourself with what's easier for you or what you want to do. Rather, you're totally nullified to the Ratzon Elyon. For Ratzon Elyon and Atua Mushash Ba'atzvus in Zeb Baruch Hu Shegiyah B'chinas Shuv Dafka, and the Ratzon Elyon which is rooted in your Etzem of the Eibishter, which is in your Neshama, is Yeshmi B'chinas Shuv. It said Oitzim B'tuli Al Amitis Ratzon Elyon Harei Maniach Es Atzmoi you put yourself on the side. Lias b'fchinas shuv lamata dafka. So we started saying today that there's two ways you can do it. Either Kabbalas Ol or through shiflus. We didn't really discuss too much the difference between them, but al kapanim, maybe Kabbalas Ol is more that you're concerned with what the Eivester wants. Shiflus atzin is more that you're ayin v'efes. But vinish tvi, the only way you can achieve it is because you don't care about Yanach, you don't care about what you B'atim want. Furthermore, you don't care about what's easier for you or where you see an instant gratification or a gain of the Gilur Er Leki. Rather, you do what the Eibishter wants because you are totally putting yourself away. And this is the idea of Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim. It looks like the idea of Shiflus Atzmoi is kind of not discussed anymore. To understand why it was even brought down, as an example, Shiflus V'Anava. Oy mitzad Kabbalas Samach Vov. I don't know. I couldn't talk.